Well, welcome to the podcast, Seb. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for coming on and making the time for us, man. Like, it's making the time for the podcast. And congratulations to you for having your newborn baby child.
Thank you.
Yeah, huge,
very
huge. It's so you're staying at Beit Teshuva?
I am. I've been at Beit Teshuva for 6 months.
And Beit Teshuva, that's like a that's no charge, right? It's a free program.
No. They do private pay.
We do private pay.
Yeah. They do private pay clients mixture.
Okay, because I know
some Medi-Cal, some private pay.
Okay, gotcha. Because I know, like, I have a lot of clients that who have or get referred a lot of people who have Medi-Cal.
Yeah.
And they can't come to a private pay facility like ours. So I have to refer them out to like a more of a public facility like Medi-Cal.
Yeah, it's about probably a third Medi-Cal, third private insurance, and a third.
Okay.
Big
Nice.
dogs.
Okay, nice. How's this set? What's the structure like there?
It's really interesting. It was set up. It's been going for years. It just changed from a year. I got in as they were changing to a 6-month program, but I'm there for a year, and I've been to fancy rehabs, Medi-Cal rehabs, and then Beit Teshuva, and it is group driven. But what's really interesting about Beit Teshuva I mean, to be honest, I could have gone anywhere when I was just ready to get sober. But what is great is the support team you have. Like, you don't just have a counselor; you have a counselor, you have a spiritual advisor, and you have a therapist. So the spiritual thing for me has always been the thing I can never get.
Now I know it's a Jewish program. Is that spiritual advisor is that a rabbi?
Yeah. Well, so they have a spiritual clinical team, but they what's interesting about Teshuva is actually outside of the fact it's a treatment center, it's its own very successful synagogue with community members.
Yeah.
So they have Shabbats on Fridays and Saturdays, and 200-300 people from the community that aren't residents go.
Yeah.
So it exists as that, and it exists obviously as a place where people get better.
I've had a few guys come through this house who have been at Beit Teshuva, and they say nothing but wonderful things about it.
How does it compare to like Malibu Treatment Center? Obviously, you're not going to get the
I've done Betty Ford. I didn't go to Malibu, but I went to Palm Spring. I mean, I went to Cry Help, which was horrendous.
Cry Help. It's rough.
Yeah.
Rough. I've sponsored a couple guys out of Cry Help.
Yeah.
Because what they do, I think they make you get a sponsor at a certain point.
Yeah.
And then they give you, like, most of these guys, they don't go to meetings, so they just get like a list of sponsors. Or they'll give you a list. Somehow my name has made it on that list.
Oh, yeah.
And I get calls every once in a while. I get calls to sponsor guys.
Yeah, but there's a lot of it's where a lot of desperate people go there. It's also it's really the last house on the block for a lot of people. But for me, I think the different. I mean, I think they're all. I don't know. I have a funny view on rehabs because I think they can be $25,000 a month, or they could be Medi-Cal, and I don't think you're going to. You accept maybe the activities you do in the Malibu style ones. You probably do horse equine therapy and shit.
Yeah.
But the actual fixing of the problems is probably they probably do the same things really. I can tell you, I'm happy I'm not in the Palm Springs heat.
Right.
I was there when it was like 120.
Oh my god.
And they go down to like 118 at night.
Well, we just had a heat wave not that long ago.
Yeah.
Luckily, I was out of town, but it was.
It's a very special place. It's like I said, I hadn't when I decided to go in there. You could have told me it was in Texas or Alaska or Poland, and I would have gone. So I'm just lucky I got into a place that is kind of aligned with, I think, my value. Well, just I enjoy it. Don't get me wrong, people have a hard time, right? We see people come in and they're like, fuck the food, and and it's
the entitlement.
Especially the more sober you get in a long-term treatment center.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I find that all the new people annoy me, but then I just realize they're just new.
Yeah.
But I think you get out what you put in.
There's a little thing, this daily reflection always stood out to me because we work in an industry where we like deal with the newcomers all the time. You know, and there was one of the things we do with our guys every morning is we read the daily reflections with them, and they do a morning meditation. And there was this one, I remember, this was back when I was living at Bloom, and there was this daily reflection that we read, and it talked about having annoyance with the newcomer, and that like, you know, and just being annoyed by them and their presence, and they're always needy and they want this and that, and it's never good enough for them. And it's really just a reflection of you and being like, you don't have tolerance for this person that is obviously going through one of the hardest times of their life, which is getting sober.
And people land in different ways. That's the thing I've had to learn. People land, you see the lights come on. Usually the people that are there 2 to 3 months, you start to notice the change. But I think everyone lands different. You got the people that are desperate, the people that are just there to get heat off. You got the people that don't want to be there at all. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Family makes them go, something like that.
Family makes them go. Yeah. They've got, they got given an ultimatum, whatever. And, I pray for those people. I just, I'm so grateful that I came in so, like, I hope people come into any treatment center beaten to a fucking pulp, because I really don't think the cure to addiction is really recovery. I think it's pain.
Yeah,
I think you gotta really, like, in your innermost self be like, I don't want to do that again. And I don't think, if you're an idiot like me, you got to get hit over the head 1,000 times until you decide don't want to get hit on the head anymore.
Pain is our greatest teacher, you know.
Oh, fuck.
100%. It reminds me of this, like, you remember that comedian Carlos Mencia?
Yeah.
He had this bit about when he was a little kid with his Mexican parents, where he was like, he's going to touch the hot stove, and his parents told him not to. His parents didn't tell him not to touch it, so he went and touched it himself. And he was like, Mom, why didn't you tell me that was going to be hot? He's like, you got to learn for yourself.
Yeah.
Pain is the greatest teacher, because I guarantee you're not going to do that again, Well, but if you're in insanity or alcohol, that's what makes our disease so insane, is that, like, we will feel that pain and we'll do it over and over and over.
Oh, yeah. Again. My mom told me not to touch the iron, and I'm like, watch me.
Yeah. There's another, Khalil Gibran wrote this book called The Prophet, and he has a thing in there about pain.
Yeah.
And it says, pain is the breaking of the shell that encloses our understanding. It is the way by which the physician within us heals thy sick self. So take his remedy with, like, tranquility and something else. But it's essentially, like what you're saying, right? I agree with what you're saying for sure, to an extent. Like, pain is the thing that's going to make us, like, really do the work, really put in the effort, and really mean it.
Yeah.
I think it what does it talk? It beaten into a state of reasonableness, more or less.
Yeah. I also think that with a lot of that, it's like, you don't even have to do that much work. I just think that, people, I often talk to the new guys there, and they're like, well, what, you're telling them how to kind of be successful here. And I think the only thing you got to do is just show up. You don't even have to be, like, eager or, like, try and be a good student. You just have to fucking know that what you want to do probably isn't the right in all areas of and I think that's what's different for me this time. It was follow the leader. It was just like I was out of options. Of course. I mean, and it could have been anyone. It could have been one of you who if I was willing to listen to somebody that had time.
So you came out here from the United Kingdom?
I did. I came out here when I was 22.
So you grew up in the United Kingdom?
Yeah, I grew up in Soho.
What was that like? What was, using drugs and drinking over there? Was it different than over here?
So ironically, I dabbled, but my addiction didn't really take over until I moved here. I'm a dude that likes to sit in a motel, smoke meth and crack, and hang out with questionable girls. And LA allowed me to do that.
Yeah,
You
of
know,
course.
and I had resources and things were great, and I rode that till the wheels came off. But drinking culture is a little different in England. You know, our drinking age is earlier. You know, you're around it a lot younger. It's not uncommon for you or your dad or grandfather to give you a shandy at the pub when you're 30, which is a half lager, half lemonade. When you're 12, you can do that. You can sit in a pub and have
If
that
you're
with a meal.
with a parent.
With a parent and with a meal. But, you know, my first time drunk, was just like any other alcoholic story you hear. It was that, I think I was 14 and we drank something called Snakebite, which is half lager, half cider, and with like a blackberry kind of juice in it. It's horrendous. And I remember leaving my buddy's house I was staying at, and his dad was putting the final tile on their new bathroom as we were leaving. And then when we got back, I was throwing up all over that new bathroom. And I remember being like, I want to do that for the rest of my life. You know, it was like...
And then your friend's dad was like, don't let this guy over
Yeah,
here
don't
again.
let him go over.
Well, I don't ever want to see
Two
this
different
guy again.
perspectives.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like anything. Drugs are everywhere, but for me, it picked up here. This is definitely where I not so much crossed the line, but was in the race.
Yeah.
And I got in the race here, and then a few years later, I crossed that line.
Okay, gotcha.
What made you want to leave the United Kingdom?
I just work. I came out here to work.
Were you doing what you do out there? And it kind of just expanded?
I was making records, and I'd signed 2 female artists, and they became successful in America. And the way our record label worked is we retained the rights for the world, and then we would license them. So we licensed one to Interscope and one to Columbia, and then they needed someone to be out here. And I was coming out here at 22, like every 2 weeks for a week. And eventually they were like, hey, do you just want to represent the label out here? So I moved out here.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, it was cool. But I mean, it was crazy, but it was...
Who were the female artists that you discovered out there?
They were Adele and MIA.
Okay.
Wow.
Wow, paper airplanes.
Yeah.
Paper
That's
planes,
crazy.
Yeah.
How did you find them? Like, what's the process of just finding those people?
Adele was found on MySpace, and that came through a scout. And then...
Oh, she was found that long
Yeah,
ago?
yeah. And then MIA was... I met her brother Sugu in a club night, and she came through the I was like the junior on the team. I wasn't the actual person responsible for like doing, actually getting the paperwork signed, but I was kind of like tagged onto the accounts, and then just kind of happened.
That's huge.
How do you feel like working in that industry affected like your drinking and using? Do you feel like it played a big part?
Yeah, of course. Oh yeah. Well, because I and then I ended up becoming a manager. I managed DJs. I worked for a big firm out here, and I would have to be in nightclubs at night, but then I had to be back at my desk in the morning. So cocaine was I progressed from cocaine to meth. That was my trajectory.
Cheaper did like the same thing.
Yeah, well, why go to 6 when you can go to 12?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I remember loving cocaine so much. Like, I loved it. I had a girlfriend called Melda at the time, and she bought me this 24 karat toot kit that had like a gold razor blade in it and a toot and everything. Like, I loved coke. And then I was with a hooker in the valley, and she was like, hey, hit this. And I remember distinctly never thinking of cocaine ever again. But I loved cocaine. I had cocaine on me all the time. I had it at the office, had it, if I was around, it was around. And I remember there was like it was like a passing. It was just like that. This is my new life now.
Right.
Never
It's
thought
kind of crazy
again.
how these drugs almost become a part of your personality.
Oh, completely.
They take over your whole being and your character.
Especially when you're as full of shit as I am. Like, it was a really great... It was just, always having a character or a mask or the big shotism, and it was just like such a great way to like bring people into your bullshit.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, of course.
Because people like to party.
Yeah.
People love to party, especially in that industry.
but also-
So it's like, if you're around, they know it's around. Like you said.
Yeah.
It also gives you a lot of courage to like talk to people and just like.
So I have a funny story. The first time, this is when I knew I had a problem, which was I was in Serbia at a festival called Exit Festival with a client, and the promoter, who I've never met, never even talked to, we land on the site and he comes up to me and he must have put like half an ounce in my hand of cocaine, and he was like, "We heard that you need this. This is on us. Thank you for coming." And I remember being like, whoa, I have not asked for this. I haven't asked my assistant for it. Nobody, like, it means that someone at the agency has said, "Oh, Seb's coming on this trip. You need to make sure he has cocaine when he lands."
Wow.
And I remember being like, oh, right. So people know.
Was it good?
Did you?
I mean, yeah.
Was the Serbian cocaine good?
Everything Serbia's better.
But shout out Nikola Jokic.
But yeah.
But my question is like, how did that feel, knowing, like, because I'm sure it sounds like from you telling that story, it sounds like it was kind of just a secret in your head. It was a secret that you used so much cocaine and only people close to you, really close to you, knew. How did it feel like when that bubble burst and you're like, oh shit, everybody knows that I'm a huge cokehead?
I mean, it felt devastating, but that's the great thing about cocaine, because you do another bump and you forget about it.
It was like, oh, fuck, all these people just think I'm just a huge fucking cokehead.
I mean, I was young too, so I kind of thought I played into that. I was in my like mid-20s, and it was like, so what?
Yeah.
Everyone's doing it.
You're devastated for a second, and then you look
it.
down. You're like, no.
Yeah, well, half an ounce of cocaine, this could last me forever, you know?
You know, you think you think about all the people that you've done lines with, and then you remember that they probably don't do it the way you do it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I'm licking the inside of the bag, and, you know, everyone's gone home, and I'm
still doing
going.
Exactly. So when you moved out here from the UK, how did your disease progress? You said you dabbled in it and then you crossed that line. So what did that look like?
I essentially worked for myself, even though I had a boss in London who never checked on me. Mm-hmm. I was paid way too much money than any 24-year-old should ever be paid. And my job was to like get in the scene. It was like I'd go meet radio people, go meet film licensing people, go meet record producers, my job was to be like, hey, we're here. Mm-hmm. So it fucking turbocharged it. You know, it was like, that was my job was not only just to be like, my job was to be seen.
Yeah.
You know? So it was, and it's a great social lubricant. So I didn't know anyone who moved out here. I ended up moving into my attorney and her at the time and her boyfriend just moved into each other. So I just took over his lease in West Hollywood because I didn't have a credit rating or any of that shit. So I just took it over and I was off to the run. I was living by myself and, you know, I was going to shows and meeting with executives and, you know, it was the character. The character was made and the character was solidified and it's completely. If I worked in a cardboard box factory, that wouldn't have happened.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, and it was everywhere. It was just everywhere.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and it's and also like if people don't do it, they don't frown on you. Like they, you know, if you were in like some rural town in whatever, and you're like, hey, let's go do some blows. People went, no, I don't do that. But like here, it's everywhere. So people just know it's part of.
Yeah.
It's the LA scene.
It's the LA scene.
Yeah.
Especially like the industry scene.
Did you?
Too,
yeah, of course.
You know.
Did you ever feel like if somebody offered you drugs or cocaine or booze while you were out meeting these people and you said no, that would have ruined the relationship, or they would have like thought you were weird for that?
Well, I was already definitely on it. If I was outside, I was on it.
I was outside.
You know what I mean?
I was the one offering
it was like it at the time it made it easier to talk to people.
Yeah.
How long did it last before you crashed?
Which crash, dude?
Well, I mean, the first one. No, the first one.
The first
real
crash.
Yeah.
Well, the first real crash was in 2015, and I went to Betty Ford. I was doing blow and meth. Just started dabbling in meth and perusing, and I got in a fight with an Uber driver, and we got in a pretty gnarly altercation. That landed me in Twin Towers, and I'm working for Jay-Z at the time. So my business partner had to be like, yeah, he's not coming in for like. Actually, he was great about it because he completely understood. But I was
Jay-Z?
I was in a cell. I was in a cell in the Twin Towers, and I'm like, this woman arrives in a nice suit. She's like, I'm your attorney. I'm like, great, cool, thanks. And you're going to treatment. And this is how we're going to get you off I had like felony assault with a deadly weapon because I hit him with an iPhone.
Oh my God.
iPhones are deadly weapons.
Felony terrorist threat because I'm not American and I told another American I was going to kill him. Another felony assault charge for something and a misdemeanor for something. And I was like deportation would have happened if...
Sure.
My business partner at the time, she did the right thing. She over-lawyered. I ended up getting like one of those, I got the woman who got Lindsay Lohan off her one of those just, one of those lawyers. I think she's like working for Harvey Weinstein now or something crazy. But like I got one of those and I was like, all right. So I literally got bailed out and went straight to Palm Springs and did my first, I think I was there 60 days.
Do you think that you getting off as easy as you did played a part in you getting loaded again? Because you did it, you got locked up, but then...
Yeah, I had resources. That was the,
right.
It wasn't, I thought I did my... And I dabbled in it. It's important. I had dabbled in AA before, but I was more loitering rather than actually doing anything.
Right.
I think... Yeah, I got off. I did 60 days in treatment, and then I was like... The condition of me going back to... I had to I didn't want to live in a sober living. So somehow I went to the sober living. I went to Trans End. A long time ago. And I'm like paying like... I don't know, some stupid amount for this dirty house in like mid-city, and I somehow wiggled my way out of there within like 4 days, and I had to do like 30 days community service. Couldn't get in trouble again, that was the hardest bit, doing 30 days of Caltrans, cleaning the freeways. But yeah, I mean that's the great thing about the American legal system is if you've got the money, you can make it go away. But sadly, like people don't. So it's
right.
Is that not the case in the
No. If you do the crime, you do the time. Like, they don't really... It doesn't matter... I mean, I'm sure to an extent it matters who you get as a lawyer, but you know that if you can... lawyers in America aren't like lawyers in attorneys the rest of the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we don't have, like... I'm sure there's, like, prize litigation attorneys in England and in Europe and stuff, but it's... Yeah, you mean
they probably belong to corporations rather than just individual people.
Yeah, it's definitely not how it is here, which is you really can get out of things if you have it pushed back. It's crazy. That definitely doesn't happen in England.
Right.
Do you even get representation in England?
Yeah, you do. We have like a public defendery system, but but there's none of those like pushing back tactics and like.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
Because my friend just became friend from college just became a barrister over in England. So
it's a lot more black and white. It's like if you did it, mate.
Yeah.
We just had one of our old clients just got he got caught transporting marijuana into London.
Shit.
So
and he's
that's
doing
no joke.
No,
he's doing time in London.
Oh yeah, dude. In London, you got the other thing is because I've been involved in the cannabis industry a bit. The other thing is that like in London, you're dealing with like real gangsters, like people that will stab you.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure we all know people that work in weed out here. It's not like California weed entrepreneurs.
No.
These are like straight up gangsters. Like they move marijuana and heroin. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you're like, it's a different.
Right.
He Supermaned it. He flew with it.
Yeah.
Idiot, dude.
He had to have.
Yeah, he had to have. Like, he went there, right?
Yeah.
Dude,
and
for
he
what,
was
30
only
pounds at most? Like, come on.
I think it was I don't even know if it was that much. It might have been £5, and would they pay him like $2,000 or something like
Yeah, I
that?
think
Not like some ridiculous amount of money where it's like, why did you agree to this?
Yeah, very small. And it's
know?
like when you're carrying weed on a plane like that, it's so easy to get caught. It's like they're putting your luggage through every single X-ray scanner, you know.
Yeah, it's not like a domestic flight. You know what I mean? Like you're traveling across.
Even if it is domestic.
Well, cannabis looks like cotton under X-rays. That's why people still fly with it over. But sniffer dogs, if you haven't sealed, double seal, whatever. There's other ways of getting caught. They're
Sure.
getting,
But still, if that's the case,
it's the stupid thing to
just
do.
mail it.
Yeah, FedEx it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Sorry, this shouldn't be that. thing.
No, but it's like pretty logical, like.
My house manager V was telling me that's what he used to do for the longest time. Was he would like get weed out here and he would like FedEx it to Illinois, Chicago.
Oh,
and he would there would be some guy, like this is back in like 2015, 2013. This guy would pay him like exorbitant amounts of money, like 3 times the cost of what it could cost him to get it, just for him to get it and then ship it out there.
Which,
and I'm just like,
even it's like it's not going through the same process as if you were to ship it internationally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't go through the same process.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you put it on you drop it off at the office, and then it gets put on a plane, and then it gets put on a truck, and then it gets delivered.
The problem is it goes for so much more money in England. Like California, weed goes for probably like 10 times the amount, 8 times the amount that it will go for. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like a pound of good indoors, probably like $400, $450. Over there, you're getting at least $5,000 a pound.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I mean, you see why people do it, but it's not exactly the most.
Yeah. No.
And it's a real crime there. It's not like a
slap on the wrist.
Yeah,
no, dude.
It's like
three houses just got raided in like real nice suburban areas.
In London?
No, in California for weed farms. They're them being illegal weed farms, and they're all misdemeanors.
Oh,
all of them.
Really?
Oh, I know people. I've
Thousands
met people.
of pounds.
Wow. Oh yeah, like
thousands of plants.
What's crazy is I know people that have moved cannabis all over the country, right? And they will have a truck full of like, let's just say 1,000 pounds of flour. And if they get caught though with one of those pens, the disty pens, that's a
felon.
That's felony distribution charge.
Yeah.
But the rest, that 1,000 pounds of flour is just a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It's wild.
God bless America.
Yeah.
God bless America. That's right. So you came out here and you worked in the entertainment industry, and that's when your addiction really took a hold of you. So I was told that you made the Forbes 30 under 30 list.
I did.
And what was that like from the process of being like, I guess on the top of the hill and then making your way all the way down?
All the way down. You know, it happened really slowly for me. It didn't, I went to my first AA meeting 12 years ago in Santa Monica, and this dude said something to me, and he goes, meth is going to get its claws in you. It's going to take everything from you. I never saw the guy again. And I've remembered he said that, and the truth is 12 years later, it took really everything from me. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't notice. Like, the cars would get, from super nice car to, like, nice car to, like, all right car to going in Ubers everywhere to, house to big apartment. Like, it took it really slowly. For me, I didn't notice it was going, like, I used to have, like, nice watches, and then, like, I'd have to make rent. So I would sell a watch, and then next month you're selling another one, and for me it took it all, and I'm in slaw too, so I like cheap drugs, but I like expensive hookers. So they start expensive. I like to say that they start with a porn star in the Roosevelt Hotel and they end with a dude in a wig in a Motel 6. But that's like a good analogy for kind of just generally what my recovery journey has been like. And it's I also think that for me, I came from nothing, I got what I wanted, and I kind of feel now that as much as I mourn the loss of stuff, I don't think there's any way I would be able to have this kind of clarity or this level of acceptance without that.
Yeah.
Try telling someone with acute resources to stop.
Yeah.
It's
right.
not.
And that's why I asked about you getting off like all those charges, if
Yeah.
that played a part in why you kept drinking, and now you're saying that there's no more resources.
Yeah.
There's no more
Not the way
no
I
more
had it.
bullshitting,
No.
no more and now it's like you want to take it serious. Now you came into this like, I'll do whatever you say.
I think it was. I've seen a lot of people in this 12 years of being in AA. I've seen smart people die and dumb people get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think I was too smart. And I can tell you, I have fucking maneuvered, try to figure out every which way of fucking doing this the way I want to do it. I'll just get high at the weekends, or I'll go to a meeting, or do, and I can tell you that I am so stubborn that I would not have got it until I got to where I was, which, in the last 12 months, I went to Cry Help last year, and then I got kicked out of 3 sober livings 3 months in a row. I went to Robbie, I went to APC, then I went to Eric's house, then I went to Little Beach House, and like around day 20 for me is always like my marker.
Oh, you went to Eric's house with
dude.
John and Connor?
Yeah.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
I love those guys.
Love
They're
those
really
guys
nice
too.
guys.
And
Really
same
stand-up
story,
dudes.
And I just, for me, I had to get to a point where there just wasn't any option other than just to step forward and do what I was told, because I didn't have resources and I didn't have any good ideas either.
Mm-hmm.
When you realized like you were starting to like on that decline, was it important to you to like keep the image? Was it important?
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. 100%. Like, yeah, it's kind of funny. Like I, like in my like old apartments and stuff, my living room would have like all my awards and plaques, and like I've got some like, whatever. I had all these awards, and then they went into storage, and my storage got stolen, and I lost all of them. I lost everything that said I was a someone. And I think it was the greatest thing that happened to my ego. I'd be like, hey, you want to come in and see what a moon man feels like? You want to
Yeah.
they're just not good shit.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah,
Of course. And I would like this image of how, which was all a character to begin with. It wasn't really anything authentic, period. But it was, of course, it was like, I'm the golden ears, or I've done this and I've done that. And it kept me sick, for sure. And it attributed to manipulative behavior. And, I don't have any of that stuff anymore. And at first it was like someone had stripped me of my gold Olympic medals,
Yeah.
And now it's like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
How long did it take you to trade the material for the spiritual, and trade those material possessions for, I mean, I know you came in without the material possessions, but how long did it take you for you to put more value into your spiritual well-being than your material well-being?
Only recently, only since I kind of got to Beta Shuva, where it was, that stuff had been taken. I really believe that if I still had stuff,
Another excuse, another resource,
another thing, or another thing
yeah.
to sell, or like, dude, like I lost a Banksy. I lost I lost serious, like
Yeah.
a Banksy, a Damien Hirst award, like things that could have got me out of where I am. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, you know what? Fuck it. It's just shit.
Stolen?
Yeah, gone.
Oh man, not a
Gone.
Banksy.
But you know what? I put my fucking that's all on me.
Yeah.
I got high and had to move my shit into storage. Didn't pay insurance, put way too much value stuff in there, and it got taken.
Which storage was this?
Easy Storage in Marina Del Rey.
Oh, I know exactly.
Yeah.
The one on Jefferson.
Yeah.
Yep, I know the one. I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Can't do it. Whatever. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like that last remnants of like me remembering I was a someone. When my sponsor at the time called me, it was like, hey, I need to let you know your storage unit's been stolen. And I was like devastated, but I don't know. Gave me a clean slate.
That's crazy. That's crazy. At least, it kind of rocketed you into that place of, you need to destroy your ego.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I was like, when I arrived, I didn't have IDs because like a hooker stole my... Dude, when I left APC, I went and got high in Long Beach, and I left my wallet. Didn't pay the hooker. Left my wallet there. She goes to my kid's mum house because she has my ID. Spray paints my name on the front door. Like, so I had no ID, no possessions. I was like locked out of my Gmail because of like all the burner phones. Like total disarray.
Yeah.
Like a complete nomad.
Yeah.
And like I had like, and I remember when I just got into Beijing, my only thing I wanted was to get my driver's license.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just fucking mental.
Yeah.
Like mental. That was what like my aim was for the first month, was to get my and outside of the work. But I think for me, I had to, clearly, because I was been trying to get sober for 12 years and nothing else was working. And I think someone just had to have that fucking...
Yeah.
Well, have you ever read this book by Chuck C? It's called A New Pair of Glasses.
Yeah, I've read it.
It's a good book.
It's a great book.
Great book. So he has this diagram in the book where it's like...
I know which diagram.
You know, the circle and then the ego separates you. And... the only thing separating you from God or a collective consciousness or whatever you want to call God is your ego.
Yeah.
And it really takes a lot to destroy that. And I think getting that gift of desperation is a huge part of destroying that ego and coming into, or at least having an open mind to a higher power or something greater than yourself, playing a part in fixing you internally and fixing your disease.
Is it desperation, or is it like, because I have to think about that. I'm like, is it desperation, or is it like willingness? Because I had stopped digging tattooed on my arms like 10 years ago. Like I was desperate. Like I wanted to stop 10 years ago.
I mean, you have to have all of them. You need honesty, you need open-mindedness, and you need willingness. At least those are the three things that you need.
I see what you're saying, but at the same time, it's like, if there's another excuse, if there's another resource, you're not desperate enough, right? If there's people telling you that you're valuable
I've been desperate.
Yeah. Like, if there's still people telling you, like, we need you, you're valuable, we need you, right? Then you're not desperate, right? No. Because you still feel the validation, you still feel like it's still feeding into the ego of like, oh, I'm needed, I'm important, I don't need to do this right now. Other people need me. You know what I mean? And it almost is like, it feeds into our character defect, and most of the time the character defect is just people pleasing. No matter like how we feel about ourselves, like we care about the validation that we get from other people feeling like we did a good job, you know, or that we're important or that we're needed. So that desperation, like you said, telling us that story about Serbia, right? You realized you had a problem, but then it was like, well, whatever, you know?
Yeah.
It rolled off your shoulder, right? Because it was just, this is what it is.
Well, people are going to still keep calling me. Like, it's not like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's,
So it's like, you were probably desperate, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't like that desperate, you know? If there's another resource, like maybe you were desperate to the point where you had to reach out to a resource that you didn't really want to and ask for help, like in the sense of like your business partner getting you a lawyer. You know what I mean? Maybe you were desperate enough to like, you know, okay, I'll go to Palm Springs, right? But only because I have to. Only because I have
options.
Yes, exactly.
Like then I had people to call.
Yeah.
Who would at least take my call.
Yeah.
I think I had to lose the right to have nobody to call.
Yeah. And that's when the desperation kicks in. That's when the real desperation. You're like, okay, I have no options left.
It's like utter desperation.
Yeah. I'm just in this moment, and it's kind of like that, right? Like, to me, like that's the deflation of ego, where it's like, I'm just like everybody else now.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I have nothing.
There's
like
nothing
the idea of not
me.
being terminally unique.
Yeah.
Yes.
If only you had this happen to you. If only you knew what it was like to have this. And when you realize that none of that shit matters, is when you can start to get better.
Exactly.
It's fucking wild. It's wild. Because everything about how we get better in this program doesn't make sense.
No.
It really doesn't.
It doesn't.
It makes sense in hindsight, but you can see why a lot of people, maybe people that just look into AA and they're like, this is how you get better from afar. They'd be like, the fuck?
Yeah. They hear people talk about God. They hear people talk about, just like, they see us holding hands, praying out in a circle,
and chanting. And they see us like, writing an inventory or like calling a sponsor or whatever, all of these things, and they think we're freaks. They just label us as freaks because they don't have that open-minded.
And like when I say I had done everything, I have had trainers, nutritionists, fucking hypnotized. I got every trying out of doing this other than that this way. I've honestly tried.
Well, that's why they call it the last house on the block, right? That's why they
Yeah.
call it AA, the last house on the block, because you have to try everything. And, we want people to try controlled drinking first. It says it in the book. It's like, go out and try controlled drinking, try controlled drug use.
If you think if you don't think you're an alcoholic,
If you don't think you're an alcoholic, go out and try it. And that's proven to be more and more dangerous.
Well,
that
now
sentiment,
it is, right?
because
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
fentanyl and all
Yeah.
that sentiment is being proven more and more dangerous because now there's fentanyl, and this book was written in 1930s, before fentanyl existed, and people that are going out and trying it one more time about controlled drinking or controlled drug use are just dying and they're dropping dead.
Yeah.
Did you ever encounter like fentanyl-laced cocaine?
No, but I definitely had some meth that would make me feel sleepy.
Okay.
And I would hang out with people that would do fentanyl. So I've been around it. I've never done it.
good for you.
That wasn't,
thank God,
that wasn't
right?
your get down.
No, I like to be up and stay up
Yeah.
to the bitter end.
I gotta go.
Yeah, like I'm not even like someone who has a few beers to come down. I'm like, I'm riding this out till Thursday, man.
Yeah.
Like when you like, your mouth is so dry, like, and that's when I'm crashing.
Yeah.
Are you
Real sick one.
Are you a citizen?
I'm not. No, I'm on a green card.
Okay. And how has that been jeopardized?
No,
through this process?
not at all. And I'm actually going to go for my citizenship next year, which I'll get. Mm-hmm. I've paid my taxes.
Sure.
And I have a daughter. So that kind of locks me in, I guess. But I also I'm choosing not to work right now. At some point, I will go back to work. And luckily, because I got on those lists and shit, that's one of the great things. Getting another one when it expires won't be too hard.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, unless I kill someone or something,
Yeah, of course.
do something terrible.
So when you were Jay-Z's creative director.
Yeah, I was the creative director in Rock Nation.
Okay,
Yeah.
Rock Nation.
Yeah.
And that was his...
That's his management company.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay. So were you hired? You were hired by Rock Nation?
I was hired by him directly.
Oh, you were hired by Jay-Z
Yeah.
directly.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Did he fire you directly too?
No, and I actually loved working there, and I stayed there after I got out. Ended up getting this woman pregnant. No, the reason I left was because they just moved operations to New York, and I had just had a kid. And I was like, this is the last thing I'm doing is while still trying to get sober and
Moving across the country.
it was like not an option, and our setup was pretty good where we were. So
okay, gotcha.
it was it actually, that's honestly pretty much the only relationship I've not burnt to the ground.
Okay, gotcha. Interesting.
Not all the time, but you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
Okay,
trust me, there's a
gotcha.
few amends I gotta make.
Yeah.
I haven't done. I should say I've
Yeah.
I can still get work, but
Okay, gotcha.
you know,
Yeah.
but yeah, definitely some people I need to talk to
There's some amends on
about
that
some
base.
things I've done and some things that probably went missing.
Right.
Oh man. So what was it like to have a kid during all of this?
Well,
And
I had bouts of sobriety, and and when I was with my kid's mum, it wasn't as bad as it was, but we just weren't meant to be together. She's an amazing mum. Met her through program. Got pregnant. Selfishly chose to have. I mean, look, there's a lot of work I have to do as a dad. Thankfully, I've shown up for the important stuff.
mm-hmm.
And I tried to hold it together the best I could. Like I said, my using isn't. I would never really be an everydayer, but I'd be a binger. And when I wouldn't have her, I would binge. And so, yeah, it's a really difficult. It's a constant reminder that I'd be lying to say that she's not a massive driving force for me getting sober, but she isn't the driving force.
Sure.
You know, but it's been difficult. Yeah, it's been, and I think it's honestly, I think it's probably been more difficult for her mum than it's been difficult for me. Her mum's had to pick up a lot of the slack, has had to deal with me going to rehab. And the thing I'm most grateful for is that her mum is informed. I mean, look, I have a lot of work to do with rebuilding trust, but I'm grateful that she has been around the program, that she kind of doesn't necessarily label me as a somebody that can't get better.
She understands.
She understands. I mean, she understands to it. She understands the best way she can.
Yeah.
You know, and she's successful. She's smart. She's definitely taken up, you know, while I've been in treatment, she's definitely held it down. But she also knows that I love my kid unconditionally. And there isn't any other option other than do this. There's only two options. It's get better or die. You know? So it's like, what more can I do? I'm just trying to show up for myself in the best way I can every day. My relationship right now with my daughter is amazing. And, you know, I have hope that my relationship with her will get better. But just like any junkie getting sober, my words don't mean shit right now. Like, I know what card game I'm playing, right?
Yeah.
And I know I don't have the hand, right? And I know that the only thing that is going to improve our relationship is action.
Yeah.
Is her seeing me show up when I say I'm going to show up.
Yeah.
And coming through on things. And that's been a massive, colossal change for me, because I'm a very argumentative person by nature, and I've had to really learn to sit on my hands and just know that I don't have cards in the game right now.
Right.
You know, and I will do everything I can that she wants me to do. I will see my kid as often as she'll let me see it, which is, I get a decent amount of time there every week. But it's hard, you know, it's hard not to have an apartment to go to. It's hard that my kid doesn't have a bedroom with me. You know, it was particularly hard in sober living.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And Eric, you know, props to everyone. Robbie, Eric's house, John and Connor, like, they all know my kid.
Yeah.
My kid comes and came and but it's not been ideal. But it, you know, of course, I want to be dependable again. I want people to
Trust me. Yeah.
And to be honest, I haven't, you know, other than just stayed sober, I haven't really done anything else to gain that trust. And the only thing that is going to do that is time.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's
you know?
trust.
And I really do want to change. Like, I really, truly in my stomach want to change. You know,
Yeah.
I really, like... It's funny how when you're in active addiction, you marginalize things. And I think about, well, just because I was at every birthday and every other thing like that, I'm this, you know, but, you know, I'm sure I haven't been, or, you know, coming down and not being present and, you know, probably sleeping too much and things like that, you know.
Yeah.
You start to look at those behaviors, and just because I've never done anything drastically terrible, it doesn't mean I haven't been terrible, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, trust is like, takes lifetimes to build, but only a second to burn down.
You're right.
You know, and you just got to be patient and just do the
And it's
right
hard.
actions and show up.
It's hard as well, because I have to really monitor how I communicate. That's changed a lot, because of course I'm you know, I'm still the punching bag on a lot of things right now.
Yeah.
And it's hard to really have any weight in the conversation when she's doing all the work.
Yeah.
You know, I get to have my daughter 3-4 days a week, but I'm not having to like get her up for school, do all this other stuff. Like, she's doing all the hard shit, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of a Santa Claus dad right now.
Yeah.
Right? I see my kid. What do you want? What do you want to do? Let's go do. You know what I mean? Because I don't have a place to go back to, and I don't, you know, the kind of very basics of being a dad. So I know that I'm a Santa Claus dad right now, and it's going to be really great in the future to know that I have weight in a conversation. If I ever want to add some constructive criticism or something, I'll have some weight in that, you know. But I know that that's just going to take time.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's really hard. It's the hardest thing I've had to do.
Yeah, no doubt. And, you know, it probably sucks for her mom, too, because I'm sure she's put into a position, and maybe I'm wrong, but she feels like she has to come up with things to tell her of, like, where you are. You know what I mean? And that's like, okay, am I about to, like, tell the truth, or do I have to lie? You know what I mean? And
I'm sure I've put her in 1,000 awkward positions like that. Yeah, of course.
And she's, you know, I wonder if she's trying to like maintain your image with your daughter.
She does I know she despises me probably on a personal level, but she does a really fantastic job of, and we both do that. I mean, she drives me bonkers too. I mean, but I would never say anything negative about her mum in front of her, and she does a really good job of doing the same.
That's cool.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's
She's
cool.
She's an amazing person. It's just going to take a little time.
Yeah, of course.
Takes a
You
long
know,
time,
she's not a bad person.
to recognize all the damage you did to that relationship.
Yeah,
you know?
but she has a way of making things sting.
Yeah.
You know, I've never been stung.
And you have to be like, yep, you're right.
Just yesterday, she was right on something. I fucked up on something. I let my kid play a game on my phone, and then I took her for McDonald's because we were by the pier, and I fucked up. And you know, I had to take that. You know, but that's the difference now. Is I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to just be like, you know, I fucked up, instead of being like, well, you took her to this, and you didn't tell me this, and I don't, you know, I can only do so much. And
Right. And that like kind of goes back even to like, even if you do have a hand to play, right? Even if you do get to that point, when you get to that point, right? Like, why even play it? Right? Like, why?
Exactly.
Like, there's no purpose to like be argumentative in a matter where it's like, when you could just be like, yeah, you're right, I'm sorry, and it's done with. It's you know.
And honestly, the only thing I really want for her mum is to be happy. Like, I really do. I just know that sounds cliche, but like, I really want her just to have a great life.
Yeah.
You know. So any way I can do that or aid in that, I want to be part of. You know.
For sure.
Of course. So what are you doing today to stay sober?
Today I have some non-negotiables. I got a really great sponsor. Shout out to Chris Crawford. Like, took a black guy from St. Louis to get me to like listen. You know, like, we have totally different paths. You know,
We come from all walks of life.
Walks of life. And I met him when I was in sober living. He was sponsoring one of the other guys, and I knew then, I was like, this guy. And I was like, this guy. I gotta get this guy to sponsor me. But he ended up sponsoring me when I stepped into Beit Teshuva. He actually went through there 8 years ago. He just took 8 years, and so we have some rules, and the rules are, when we wake up, we're naturally sick. So it takes us more steps than the average person to just get to baseline, right? Not even good, just to get to baseline. And so I have some non-negotiables. I call him every morning within my first hour of waking up. He never picks up. I leave him a voicemail. But it's not about the engagement conversation.
Yeah.
It's about the, hey, I'm willing to do this today.
Picking up the phone.
So he can see that to tell, I'm still willing to do this. I've never missed a day. I pray. My prayers are short and sweet, and they change pretty frequently, but they're essentially, I bookend the day. I thank God for keeping me sober the night before, and I hope he gives me the patience to get through the day. I go to a lot of meetings. I do step work. But really, I have a board of directors, like, you know what I mean? I have like a board of sober people I run stuff by, because I've really learned that my first thought is almost always wrong. So I don't really do any, not even, I like to say major decisions, but just life decisions. Anything where there's a possible consequence, big or small, where it could be essentially like, oh, I'm cooking for 4 people tonight, what should we have to eat? Like I'll ask other people.
Right.
Like, I really live in consultation. Like, and for the major shit, like, how do I deal with my kid's mum on this, to the small shit, like, I'm feeling like this today, should I do that? I just ask people, because if it were up to me, I'd be in a motel smoking crack.
Yeah.
Right.
With a dude in a wig.
with a dude in a wig, with a girl named Brian.
A girl named Brian.
You know, like that's my default.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so. I think living in constant and get a crew of people. Like get people that.
The sobriety crew.
Yeah. And I've
Trudging
got
buddies.
Trudging buddies.
100%. That's how we met.
Yeah.
You know?
And I got a great home group I go to, and those guys have, you know, I would go to that meeting with dope in my pocket, you know. And those guys have held me. It really took a village.
Yeah.
They've held me through my worsts. And holding and helping someone can look like different things. Sometimes it'd be them, you know, picking up the call, and sometimes it would be them not picking up the call, and that actually helps.
Right.
You know. So yeah, and I don't live by my own will, I think is the best way of summing that up.
Good. That's amazing. So you've been through a number of sober living homes.
Oh, I've done the fucking Great West Coast tour, I think.
Okay, gotcha.
With brief residencies in each one.
Yeah.
Would you say 20 days is like...
Yeah, it's usually
20
my
days.
you know, I like to use fake pee. I like to use other people's pee. I like to get one over on it. Like you have to look at my dick when I'm like I like, you know.
Yeah.
How did you fake drug tests? So you use fake
Oh, I
pee
did the fake pee stuff, but then I would when I was at Eric's house, this is great. He's got a great house manager called Remington, who I got on with, and I get on with all these people, right? And I'm still a piece
Remington.
of shit, dude. So I got a soap bottle, but I didn't clean out the hand soap bottle, and I put my hand into somebody else's pee, and it was clean. I saw they went for a piss, and left it in the toilet and didn't flush it. So I just like used the soap bottle to like collect their pee, and then transfer it into like you know those the concentrated lemon juice that come in something that looks like a lemon.
Yeah.
Right. So you wrap one of those in a black sock, so you keep it like between your dick and your leg.
Yeah.
And then I would put pee in it and then warm the pee up in a microwave. You know, like when I said there, like if you're ever wondering if anybody here, just like get me in the room, I'll figure it out in like 15 seconds.
You're going to great lengths.
But but then Remington was like, "Hey man, why is there soap in your pee?"
Yeah.
You know, because
I caught it.
Yeah. And
Dude, it was so funny. Like
here,
it's just so well. First of all, the lengths we go to try and pull over the wool on people's eyes,
God.
and we think we're so fucking smart when we're doing it. Oh, they're never gonna wrap up this thing in a black sock. They can't tell. Like, oh yeah, this is gonna work, baby. No, it's like how long did he have to look at it before he was like?
It's like, and I smelt it. It smells like lavender and piss, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, dude. I mean, I got away with it a bunch sometimes, and then you know what? It doesn't matter because once you start that train, right? You do it once, you're gonna get caught.
He had someone here. He literally had a fake dick.
Oh,
yeah,
a Wizinator.
Yes.
I got the great.
Yeah.
Are you ready? I got the greatest
Wizinator.
The Wizinator. Are you ready for this? So I'm at that smoke shop at Lincoln, right? I'm just living. This was a couple of years ago, and I got a pee for something. Maybe I can't remember what it was for, but maybe it was. Maybe I was in sober. I can't remember where I was at. So I'm talking to this guy, like we're becoming, you know, I'm like, hey, I need to get this thing. And he's like running me through all the products, and things like $160 or something. So eventually, like 45 minutes in there, I get it. I buy the Wizinator and I get back to my car. I'm sitting in my Lincoln Tobacco on Lincoln. They don't sell them anymore. And I open it, and he sold me a black cock, right? And I'm like, all right, no big deal. I just go in. I've just been literally 2 minutes out the door. I go, hey man, you sold me a black one. He's like, oh, dude, you opened it. I can't take it back now. So he ended up getting sold and I'm not packing heat on the best of days, you know. So this fucking as black as the night,
right?
Like cock, dude.
This is how people in the UK. This is how we're born.
Sorry,
it's never gonna fly, dude. But that was my one and only time I used a Wizinator. But yeah, I mean,
did you use it or did you just buy it?
I probably stripped the pee out of it, you know, the fake pee.
Yeah.
I've jerry rigged so many like pee tests, but what I've learned. So now at the rehab, I'm like semi-staff, like I'm on an internship. I'm just, you know, and I get to actually do that now for people. as like a tech, right?
Test, yeah.
Yeah,
test it,
and test them. And here's a couple of realities I've learned, which is one, everyone compete at all the time. Like, you don't need more than 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Like, you
Dude,
just
when
need a
people
little
people tell me all the time, it's like, oh, I can't pee. I'm just like, that's fucking bullshit. Get it out in the next 5 minutes.
Like, you can get it out.
You know?
Or the guys that like have they sit down. Like, I was that guy. I would sit with the sober house manager and be like, I just need to drink the water, and they're like looking at me like, come on, dude. Like, it's not that hard.
No.
You know, it's not that hard. I used to pay girls to pee on me. You know, it's like, come on. It's like, come on, this is my get down. This is easy as shit to do.
This is like, hey,
This is
if I
fucking
gave you
easy,
$100 and told you to pee right now, I bet you could get it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my
right?
God.
And
Oh, a bunch
the
of
hoops
horseshit.
some people go to, oh, I've just drawn, I can't do it now, or I'm nervous in front of people. It's like, oh, come on, dude.
Yeah, it's bullshit. It's all a bunch of bullshit. And so I'll tell you a story about this guy. He used a fucking Wizinator here. This was about a few months ago. He actually went through Beit Teshuva. He was this guy named Adam Yehuda. Do you know who that is? Okay. Anyways, so I'm like, I'm doing this pee test myself. I'm observing him, and he turns his back towards me to pee, so I can't see his penis go in the cup. I always try and
you gotta watch it go in the cup.
Go watch it go in the cup.
You have to.
Shitty as it may sound,
Yeah.
I always gotta watch it. And so he turned away from me. I didn't say anything, and then he gives me the pee, and each cup has its own temperature reading on there.
Yeah, it's gotta be green.
And it's got to be green, and it didn't read green. And then I'm looking at it, and it looks like apple juice. It doesn't look like piss, and it's not. Obviously, he did it real quick, so he didn't have time to warm it up. So it wasn't creating steam in the cup too, which is another telltale sign.
The thing you got to temperature
is a huge thing. So anybody that takes a real piss, I'll know it's a real piss because it's creating steam in the cup.
Yeah.
And so all of those things. So I'm sitting there, and he's in the kitchen, and he's talking, and we're talking. I'm like, hey man, is this fake piss? I say real casually. He's like, let's go outside. I gotta talk to you about something.
I've done that so many times. God bless every sober living house manager I've been at, because I've always had one of those, I need to talk to you about something.
Yeah.
And it's usually 99% after the fact I've lied or done a drug. You know what I mean? It's when the jig is up, dude.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, you caught me red-handed, Yeah. And then I was like, yeah, it's fake pee. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? What's going on? He's like, been using ketamine pretty heavily, and I'm like, oh my god.
Do those cups even test for ketamine?
Yeah, they do.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, they do. Of course, I get the 18-panel cups that test for everything. So I'm like, okay, so where's this fake pee coming from? And he comes downstairs with this cock,
the bladder,
the cock, on a little waistband, and it was the Wizinator. It was so fucking funny, dude. It was so funny. I actually made a video about the Wizinator, dude, and finding it. It was a funny video.
I think. What's your policy here for people that pee dirty?
I give them a couple chances. I give them if they're trying and doing what they need to do. I give them a chance. Definitely not no tolerance, but if they're not,
if they're blatantly just
if they're fucked off and they don't care, because it's a disease and it's not a linear process. It's not. A lot of times it's not linear for a lot of people, allowing them to fuck up in a safe environment is better than them fucking up on the street where they're gonna potentially die. But at a certain point, it's if they're fucking up enough, I have to worry about the other people in the house, endangering them, and understanding that okay, I'm depriving this person from hitting their rock bottom by picking them up all the time.
100%.
So
some of the I think some of the greatest things that happened to me has been pack your shit up, dude.
Yeah.
Pack your shit up.
Sometimes it's just instant where you're someone's doing so well so quickly, and you're like, this doesn't feel genuine.
Yeah.
You've been here 60 days. You've made amends to everybody you've ever met, and it's I don't know. We did that with Chase, right?
Yeah.
And I thought it was so funny. He took my car because we traded cars because I had to go to Costco or something like that.
He didn't have a car. You just allowed him to use his car.
No. He was driving the red car for us. But I ended up taking that car. I followed him to the dentist. I said, take my car just straight home. It was like a block away.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't anything crazy. And he didn't. But he came back so loaded. And I was just like, bro, like...
I thought he got, like, stuck in the valley. Like,
no, he did. No, he was just getting loaded in the valley. No, he was in my car.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what are you talking about, bro?
Yeah.
And he was so loaded. He was like, let me pee. Like, I'll pee right now. I'm like, bro, I don't need you to pee. Like, I can see how fucked up you are. And he was like, no, I want to pee. And he failed. And he's like, no, let me pee again. And he failed. And I was like, what are you doing, bro? Like, what are you trying to prove right now? You know? I can see you're loaded and you failed 2 tests. He's like, one more. I was like, dude, just get out.
It must be particularly hard when you can tell that they're probably charming and also kind of nice and like part of the community too.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, some people are so charming and they're so good at pulling the wool over your eyes, and he was one. He's
in prison for triple murder.
He is a sociopath. He is genuinely a sociopath. He had just got he just got arrested for triple homicide out in Arizona, and he's going to prison for life.
Over like $300.
Over $200, you know?
Yeah, I got a friend who was kind of like me, and he, like, not an inherently bad person, you know, but just struggled getting this, would get it, you know, a couple weeks, but was trying, you know, would show up, whatever, and third DUI, runs into the back of a Tesla, kills a family of 3.
Oh, man.
Jesus.
You know, but...
Yeah. You're not coming back from that, you know?
No.
There's no fucking way. And it's just where a disease takes us, man. And people don't understand that it's life and death what we're dealing with. Like, they think that we're being so hyperbolic when we say this is life or death that you're dealing with.
Yeah, I mean...
People are like, no, I just drink. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, we've had a death recently we had a death at our community. Some girl left and died in a car and out on Venice or outside somewhere, you know, and it's just sad, dude.
So on Wednesday night, I have a sobriety newcomer meeting here, and it's called the Sobriety Crew. And there was a guy here who his last name was Crew. His name was Chris Crew. And I remember talking with him in his room. He had been here for like 7 months, and he relapsed a couple times, and he was just like, I'm done. I got to go. I got my own apartment. And he only had like a couple weeks at this point. Mm-hmm. He's like, I have my own apartment. And I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, man, like, you leave here, you are going to die. Like, you are he was like heroin user, intravenous heroin user, and everything is fentanyl now. And I told him, I was like, dude, you're buying yourself a $1,000, $1,500, or $2,000 a month coffin. You are going to die. It's not a matter of if, but when. And the day after he moved out, he was found outside of his apartment that he had just bought in a U-Haul truck. Didn't even make it into the apartment. Overdosed and dead. And it just goes to show, like, this is literally a matter of life and death here.
And it's often I've noticed that a lot of the time it's not always the ones you would think would go out first are the ones that go out first. I like the ones that work. They seem like they're working a really good. I was in treatment with this one guy who was like, you know, head of the rehab, president, you know, like the house man, you know, whatever it was, like still a resident, but like, you know, like the house monitor or whatever it was called at this place, right? Did really well, like seemed like got his family back, did all this, and like died 2 weeks later in a Panera Bread restaurant. Just that's fucking, crazy. It's wild. It's wild.
Insane. It's a wild story. He's like, this is the industry that we deal with, you know? This is the work that we deal with. This is the people we deal with.
Even just eating at Panera Bread sucks.
Yeah.
You
Let
know,
alone
like,
get-
bro, getting loaded
let-
in the
That
bathroom.
cheddar soup bowl is pretty fire, dude.
Yeah, yeah,
the-
that is actually not bad.
Those bread, dude, the
Yeah.
bread bowls at Panera are pretty fire. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, man, it's not a good place to die.
No, it's not a good place to
Not
die.
a good place to die. Oh man, dude. But yeah, hopefully this is like, this is the last time for you, man. This is,
Yeah.
there's not going to be another time where, you have to go to sober living. I say that in the sense that I want you to get like, I hope you
Yeah.
stay sober, I hope you stay a part of the community,
Yeah, me too.
It sounds like you have a lot to offer, especially if
Yeah.
you're,
I just, I hate people in meetings that say this shit. Like, that's my worst thing. But like, I really had a cosmic shift.
yeah,
I really did.
yeah.
And
Of
it
course.
was, but I'd never had one like that. I don't know. I think I thought, there's one thing, I thought about this a lot recently, which is, I think keep coming back, and the fact that I didn't have consequence for many years kept me sick. Because I never valued time because I could never get it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So when you're in that hamster wheel of 20, 30 days, and I know it's kind of controversial, and I know we should support the newcomer, but a lot of that actually just, when I was like, well, I can just get high and go back tomorrow, I think that kept me sick for a long time. And I never valued time. And I know we say just for today and all that shit, but the reality is like, no. For me, it's not just for today. For me, it has taken me so many years to just get these 6 months. Mm-hmm. Like I really, and I know time doesn't mean, for me to get 6 months has been so hard. It's been such a long journey that I cherish that time now. And like, fuck off my time. Like I don't want to give it up.
Yeah.
No, dude,
And
time
maybe
means
that's
something.
an ego thing,
Yeah.
but it
Dude.
it has to mean something.
It does. It
dude.
for sure does, bro. Like, people say that, I think, more for the newcomers of like, when they're speaking to the newcomer.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're someone with like 10, 20 years speaking to someone with, 10, 20 days, it's like, it's harder
Yeah.
for that person to resonate with
Totally.
like getting to where you are.
Yeah.
But so if you preface it with like, time doesn't really matter, right? Like you can have whatever,
Yeah.
But I think it does matter. I think
do too.
it shows like one, like I can understand that like no matter how much time you have, shit has happened in your life and you have stayed sober.
Yeah.
And maybe it hasn't been perfect, right? Maybe
Yeah.
maybe you've done some things like you're not proud of in recovery, but you managed to stay sober. And I care about that. As someone with a little bit of time who has been through their own experiences, like I can recognize that.
Totally.
And like to me that's more valuable than like
Right.
anything else. Like I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because everybody goes through something. Everybody has a unique experience where they're uniquely qualified to help someone in a specific type of situation, whether it's like losing a loved one or trying to get your kid back or, losing a job,
Yeah.
whatever it is, going through like litigation, a divorce, whatever, like someone has been through that, and it's someone with time, and because they have that time and have walked through that process, they can show that newcomer who's probably going through it then
Yeah.
how to walk through it, you
Yeah.
know? And to me, like that's the important. That's why time matters.
Yeah, and the other general, the realization to me that there is not going to be a better sobriety date than the one I have now.
Absolutely.
No, there's
Right.
not.
There's not a better
No.
date than the one I have now.
What's your date?
It is March 18th.
Nice.
Nice.
Fuck yeah. That's
Like it.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's a great date.
It's
a great date.
It is
Yeah.
a good date.
That's the best one you're gonna get.
Not as good. Not as good as 420 though.
No.
Just kidding. No, that's
Right.
that is a great day, man. I appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much
dude.
for having me.
I appreciate. I really hope that you come by the Wednesday
Yeah,
meeting.
we'll
Bring
come
some
by.
guys.
Yeah, we'll come by.
Just trying to build the community over here.
What time is it?
It's at 7:30.
Okay, great.
So if anybody wants to come to a Wednesday meeting, 7:30 here, DM me. I'll send you the details. But thank you so much for coming on. I'm
Thank
really
you for
glad
having
we
me.
could
Yeah.
connect.
It was fun.
I appreciate it. Thank
Thank
you.
you, man.
Really
Of
nice
course.
meeting you.
Nice meeting you.